Hey, Phil Ebner here, and in this video, I'm going to be answering questions from people who follow me on Instagram, who are students of mine, who follow me as an online teacher. So I have 30 questions that I'm going to try to answer, and I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. I'll try as hard as possible to stick to that 30 minutes. Let me get a little comfortable. That's embarrassing. I get a lot of questions from people about all kinds of things. I'm not really sure why. I guess people look up to me who have taken courses of mine, who have seen some of, my success on teaching online classes and doing creative stuff. So happy to help, and let's get through them. I've separated some questions that people submitted that are more tech side, like microphone recommendations and photo tip kind of things. And I'll put another video out with those. This one's more about general personal stuff and other things, lots of stuff. So let's get into it. All right, question number 1. What inspired you to get into photography? Ooh, that's a good one. I first took I took a real photo class in high school. And I was able to use my grandpa's camera. He had passed away when I was younger, but my mom kept his film camera. And that was the first time I was able to really hone somewhat of a craft and see what I could do by capturing images and stories with a camera. And even at that time, actually, I got one of my first little digital cameras, and I would take little clips. I think it had like a 15-second limit for a clip. I don't even know what the resolution was, super small. And I would take these 15-second clips and put together these montages with that digital camera. And it was amazing to me what I could do with just like that camera and a little bit of basic editing knowledge. And from there, I just kind of dove into it and got into filmmaking and went to school for that, which I'll just get out of the way. If you're new to me, new to my channel, the basics. I grew up in Southern California. I studied film production at Loyola Marymount University. After that, I worked on a bunch of video projects, had full-time jobs, freelance work. And while I did that, I was teaching my own online courses, sharing all the skills that I had. And that's pretty much my life in a nutshell. I have a beautiful wife, Isabel, 3 kids, and 2 of them are twins, twin boys and a girl. And that's where we're at. You might hear more about them as we get through these next questions. Okay, so question number 2, did you always want to pursue photography? If not, what? I think actually my main passion is video creation. So photography is something that I've actually gotten into more over time professionally, as partnering with my good friends Will Carnahan and Sam Shimizu Jones, who are photographers, cinematographers, and we put together a big class called the Photography Masterclass out. First, probably back like 5-6 years ago, we did a major update. And actually kind of through that class, I've continued to hone my own skills. And I guess pursue photography isn't necessarily the exact term I would call. I would say that I'm always capturing moments. I'm always trying to improve my own photography. And I actually don't think being a professional photographer is really my end goal, but I think being able to take great photos helps in pretty much everything I do, from making videos to running an online business, marketing, and then most importantly, capturing moments and stories with my family. All right, number 3, favorite book, movie, song. I got this one on Instagram. Follow me at Phil Ebner. And this is a good one. I said I would explain a little bit more about my answers, which are Harry Potter, Searching for Sugar Man, and Better Together by Jack Johnson. So Harry Potter, I don't know if that's too much of a cliche answer. I think people in my specific generation, it was a very important book for a lot of us because we grew up. I was basically the same age as Harry Potter every time a book came out. He was, 12 when I was 12, and he was 14 in the book that came out when I was 14. And I think what makes it my favorite book or favorite series is that it helped me fall in love with reading. Up until till that point, I just was not really a reader. My sisters read a lot of books as kids, but I just never got into reading myself. And after picking up Harry Potter and reading it and falling in love with this story, I've grown to love reading a lot more, and I continue to read, not as much anymore because I have kids and crazy life and don't have time to read too much nowadays. But it's something that I have a love for. So movie, Searching for Sugar Man, you got to watch this documentary. It is one of the best. I love documentary film. That's my true passion, is making more documentary style film. And this one is just such a wild ride, especially if you don't know the story, which I'm not going to ruin for you. So just watch it. And then favorite song, Jack Johnson, Better Together. There's so many songs Jack Johnson has written that I love. I don't know, maybe it's a California beach kind of kid thing, but I just loved his music growing up. And he was one of the only artists that I really truly followed over the long term. Like, there's different periods of my life where I like different bands, but then kind of grew out of it. Jack Johnson is one artist who I've just continued to listen to all of his music, and I can listen to Jack Johnson forever. Question number 4, have you ever visited India? Yes, I have. I went to India in college. It was the summer after my junior year, and it was sort of a service trip. I put together a proposal with a couple friends, Vince Patton and Diego Gonzalez. Shout out to you guys. We put together this proposal and got a bunch of donations to basically go to India. We worked with an organization called the Real Medicine Foundation, and we basically helped build a health center there. We taught at a school. We hired someone to flatten a bunch of earth for them to put together a giant garden for their school. Bought a bunch of medical supplies for them, and it was a really good experience. I would love to go back and really immerse myself more in the culture. We also had a friend, Seher Mansour, who's doing amazing things with her company, Bare Necessities. It's a zero waste company. And she helped run the project, made sure that we were doing it as authentically as possible. But yeah, we went to Mumbai, we flew in, we went to a small village called Bilidoj, and then we visited Bangalore at the end of the trip. And it was an amazing experience as someone in college, but I would love to go back, bring my family and show them such a beautiful place. Question number 5, how can we join your photography class? It's an easy one. Go to videoschool.com, and if you click any of the links at the top, it takes you to all of our courses, depending on the category: video, photo, design, business, marketing, and we've got tons of them. So yeah, happy to have everyone in our classes. 6, what content do you consume, and who do you look up to? That's a good one. I think it really changes depending on what I'm into. Like right now, I'm super into sourdough bread and baking and food. And so I listen to the Sourdough podcast. I follow a bunch of different bakers on Instagram, like Artisan Brian and Mauricio from The Perfect Loaf. In terms of video production, 3 people that have really inspired me and actually have inspired me to start this personal channel are Johnny and Iz Harris. They are incredible YouTubers, creatives. They do different styles of video. Iz Harris does a lot of sort of travel vlog, but also some food. And then Johnny does these incredible documentary style investigative reporting plus some sort of vlog stuff. He used to work for Vox, and so he has a very cool style because anyone that knows Vox and their media is really, they do really incredible work. And so they really inspired me to get my own stuff going and to share it on my own channel. And then Nathaniel Drew, he's another YouTuber who just has been posting some solid stuff lately. And just seeing YouTubers like that in a range of, people who are a little bit smaller in terms of subscribers to larger. I watch a ton of YouTube videos. It's always good to get inspired by others. And hopefully people are inspired by me. All right, number 8. What advice would you give your younger self about starting and running your own business? Oh, that's a good one. I wish I could think about this one for a lot longer, but I think the first thing that comes to the top of my mind is that if you're starting a business, or if you're doing anything like right out of college, or when you're younger, or if you don't have kids, I think this may sound silly to some people, but it's take advantage of that time. Take advantage of the energy you have, the lack of responsibilities that you have. I think when I was younger, I did do that in one sense, where I was working hard. I was working a full-time job, 40 plus hours a week. And then on the side, I was building my own online courses and my own business, Video School, or it used to be videoschoolonline.com. And I did work probably 60, 70 hours a week for several years. And then I had kids, and I'm working from home, and my schedule is crazy, and I just don't have the energy to put in that time, the energy or the time to do it. And I can't imagine trying to do this and having as much success as I've had if I was starting now. So on one hand, I think it's props to anyone who is a parent who is starting their own thing, because it's a lot harder. And then on the other hand, it's for those of you who don't have kids, who are, starting your career and just have a lot more freedom. It's take advantage of that, enjoy it, because having kids is the most beautiful thing that I've ever done. It's the best passion. It's the best thing ever, but it's a ton of work. And that's a reality that I think people just, you hear that, you think that, that's going to come if you ever want to have kids. But it's something that when you're younger, you're not thinking about how lucky you are to have all the time and stuff that you have to basically grind and hustle at night or on the weekends, do whatever you want without, being basically of service to someone else and responsible for someone else. So I guess that's an answer. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Yeah. I think the general advice I would say for anyone is, for myself, anything I've done, and pretty much anyone that I've seen successful at any business, any creative project, YouTube channel, online teacher, podcast, whatever it is that you're doing, it's just, you gotta stick with it. It's very rare to have a ton of success right at the beginning. And it's not going to be overnight success for most of us. And so I've been working on my online class business for almost 10 years now. And I see a lot of people who get into the business and then stop. Right when I think if they would have kept going, pushed through sort of the monotony of it, that they would have had a lot of success. At the same time, it's okay to give up something if you're not passionate about it anymore. So yeah, hopefully that helps. All right, let's see. Question 9. That was a tough, heavy one. This is an easier one. Do you want to come to Mexico? Yes, I would love to come to Mexico. I've been to Mexico a number of times. I went to Tijuana a lot when I was in high school doing service projects. And then again in college, I went to Mexico City and sort of the surrounding area as part of, they called them alternative breaks at Loyola Marymount. It's a really cool opportunity. Instead of doing the classic spring break that people do in college, you go and do a service trip. And it was a really cool experience to go down there. I think, now that I'm older, I think there's definitely something to be said about some of that service, and I'll admit this 100%, some of the service that we did as a younger person through college, through high school, while I think hopefully it was all beneficial to the people we were serving, it was also a lot of self-service. It was a lot of making us feel better and trying to do things, to change the world, make it a better place. But at the end of the day, I don't know if all of the service projects I did, the trips that I did, were 100% authentic or the best that they could be. And I'll admit that. And it's something that I want to do better when I do service, or as I do service now or in the future. So that being said, with travel or going to Mexico, I would love to spend, again, more time there. Food. Oh my God, Mexican food is for sure one of my favorite types of food. And I'm sure there's so much variety in Mexican food that I love. Being a SoCal kid, we are lucky to get pretty authentic Mexican food. I remember being in Germany for, those 4 months studying abroad in college. And I don't think I actually mentioned that in this video yet, but I did in the sourdough video I just launched. But we found one Mexican place in Berlin, and it was like all the rage. It was like, this is authentic Mexican food. And it was okay. It fulfilled our desire for Mexican food at the time, but it was nowhere near the quality of food that we get here in SoCal. So yeah, just for the food, heck yeah, I would love to visit Mexico more. All right, number 10, describe your reactions and emotions when you reached your first 1,000 students on Udemy. So Udemy is where I teach most of my online classes. It's where I started, and dang, yeah, it is a pretty incredible thing to teach online. And I just remember, the first 1,000 students, I can't remember that number, but I just remember like the first handful of students where I put out my first course. I had no audience, no marketing, no nothing like that. But I put together this big course on video editing, and I just kind of sat there and waited. And then it was probably within a few days where I got like one student buying my class. And granted, it was a lot easier at that time because there was just fewer courses, less competition on the platform. But I just remember thinking like, wow, I just made like $5 or $10 from this one sale. And like someone's actually taking my class. Granted, this is at a time where I was $100,000 in debt, student loan debt. And I was stressed, going to sleep every night, like trying to fall asleep, stressed about that debt, and really worried about that. And so I had a full-time job, which was paying not that great of money. And I was working, trying to do wedding videography on the side, freelance projects on the side, just to try to make more money to be able to pay the loans and, live on my own and do all of that kind of stuff. And so when I first made those first sales, that was the magical moment, because I was like, wow, well, if I could make a few sales with this one course, what will happen if I make another course? And so I just continued to make courses. And I remember like making $100 in my like second or third month. And then it jumped to 200 and then 300. And in my mind, I was like, what would can you imagine if I was making $1,000 a month from this? And it was probably 7 or 8 months in, and I hit that, and I was like, holy cow, this is incredible. And at the time, it was on top of my full-time job, and I kept a full-time job pretty much for the first 3 or 4 years of doing Udemy. So it was all extra money that I was putting straight to loans. And it was just amazing though. And it was incredible. And every, milestone after that has been incredible. And it's been a wild journey. I talk a lot about this on my podcast, Online Course Masters. It's a podcast I haven't, done in a while. There's a question about this later on, but you can learn a lot more about my journey there. All right. Question 11. I love these travel ones because I love travel and I miss travel right now, especially during the pandemic. 11. Have you ever visited Italy? Yes, I have. I got a lot of questions about countries I've visited, and luckily, like, I had visited most of them. But Italy, yes, I was studying abroad in college. Let's rewind. So the summer before I studied abroad, my current wife now, we were in the same service organization at Loyola Marymount University. She was a senior graduating. I was a sophomore. And for like a year and a half, we were just friends right up until the time she was about to graduate. And things happened and we started falling in love. And, you're seeing each other every day. You're hanging out at night. You're going to each other's, dorm rooms, studying, watching movies, cuddling, all that stuff you do when you're falling in love. And she was graduating though, but we decided that we were going to date and be boyfriend and girlfriend that summer. So we had a summer of love. It was amazing. We, did all the things you do, falling in love, staring up at the stars at night, staying up as late as we could, seeing each other as much as possible. But there was sort of a deadline. I was studying abroad the next fall, starting in September. And then she was going to do a 2-year service program, Jesuit Volunteer Corps in Chile. And so we, in our minds, were like, this is great and everything, but we're planning on we're gonna break up at the end of summer because, it's just gonna be complicated. But it got to like the day before I was planning to leave for Germany, and we were hanging out late at night. I think we were at like a park near my house right now, or maybe we were in San Diego with my family, one of those places. I was just like, I don't know if I brought it up. I think I brought it up. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like, do you want to just try this and see how it goes? And she said yes. And she'll say now, like back then, that was like the moment she knew like we were meant to be. And so we decided to stay together. And I guess this is a long story to tell you that she came to visit me in Europe when I was studying abroad. At the same time, she was still planning to go to Chile. So this was like the one time I was planning to really see her before she left. And we went to Italy. So we went to Rome for a few days. We went to Venice. And oh my gosh, can you imagine how, romantic that was to be like with your girlfriend, who you were just madly in love with, and going, walking past the Trevi Fountain at night, making wishes, eating all the pasta, drinking all the wine you could, going in a gondola in Venice. It was amazing. And I would love to go back with my family and bring the kids and eat lots of pasta and pizza and drink wine and have a really good time, because it was definitely one of the most magical places I've been to. All right, 12. Do you think photo video is a learned skill or a talent we are born with? Definitely. I think a talent talent we are a learned skill. I think it's definitely more of a learned skill. I also think though that having like creative parents will help you. My mom is a very creative person. She's an amazing artist. And so I think, as a kid, I didn't realize this, but looking back now, there was so much creative energy in our house and always doing art projects and doing that kind of thing. As a kid in school, like we had art class, and I never really thought like I was a good artist. I was never really into that. And it was really when I went to high school and started getting into photography and video that's when I found my area of art that I was into. But I think it's definitely a learned skill. I'm still learning now. I look back on my photos just from a year ago or 2 years ago, and I'm like, wow, I've actually gotten a lot better, and I have a long way to go. So yeah, definitely a learned skill for sure. All right, 13. You can probably hear that. And gosh, time is going on. Wow, we are going to blow past that 30-minute mark. Hopefully you're okay with that. Okay, 13. You teach new skills, but what are new skills you want to learn? I love this question. Well, I am learning how to bake bread, and I've learned a lot about sourdough bread. Watch my video documentary about my sourdough experience here on the channel to learn more about that. But I want to expand that. I want to learn how to make things like croissants, baguettes, and then dive into more like pastry. Just because I really love baking, I love cooking. So that's probably where I'm at right now. A skill that I would love to continue to learn and sort of a long-term life goal is to speak another language fluently. I studied French in high school, and I've had moments of like trying to relearn it all and get good at it. Basically, when I'm about to visit Europe, or I have family in Switzerland, so in the French-speaking region. So that inspires me to get back into it, but I'm definitely not fluent, and I lose 90% of it whenever I stop, trying. And so, I would love to speak that. And then just being a parent is a skill that I'm learning, and I just want to be a better dad. I want to be a better husband. And gosh, I know I'm not the best. I'm not perfect. So yeah, that's a skill I want to learn how to do better too. All right. If you could, 14, this is kind of a tech question, but I like this one. If you could choose one Fuji lens, which would it be and why? Okay. This might change now. This is the lens. I have like 5 or 6 Fuji lenses now, but the one that I would keep is actually the one I'm filming on right now. It's the 16 millimeter 1.2. And it's an amazing lens. It's the first one I got. It's great because it has a short focal length, meaning I can focus on things very close to me, but it's wide, so I can get close to larger subjects, specifically like my kids. When I'm down playing with my kids and I want to be right there with them, this lens is perfect because I can be there with them. I don't have to like be super far away to get a good shot. So there's, I love the 80 millimeter macro. I love the 16 to 55 for video as well. I love the 56 millimeter for portraits. But if I could choose one, the 16 millimeter would be the one. All right, 15, how to manage work-life balance as an entrepreneur where work, life share the same space. I think this is for my aunt, Teresa. Thank you for the question. Honestly, I'm still figuring it out. I think the best thing that I've done was create this separate space. We converted my garage into this workspace, this work studio for me. Before this, I had a separate office inside, but once we had kids, I needed some kind of separation. And so I'm very lucky and fortunate to be able to have this separate space because I can, keep it organized, keep it clean, keep it set up if I want to film in it. I don't have to like break everything down every time I want to film and set it up again. But something I've struggled with, and Isabel and I've struggled with, is just figuring out like schedule because I'm in this very fortunate position to be able to work really whenever I want. But sometimes that's meant that I am working at night. I'm working like here and there throughout the day, basically like all the time. But that's been hard for me. That's been hard for Isabel as well because we don't have like that dedicated time or space to say, okay, Papa's going to work, and it's not regular. So we've tried different things. Right now, I'm working in the mornings for a few hours every day, pretty much Monday through Thursday anyways. And then I'll work at night. And then when I have like a bigger project, I'll just work longer days or longer nights. But honestly, the tips is just like, if you can have a separate space, that's good. And then just like block that time to be creative. There's my 30-minute time. We're going back past that for sure. Hopefully that's okay. Thumbs up if you're enjoying the video. Subscribe if you're interested in what I do and helping me out. That'd be helpful. We're about halfway through these questions. Let's get it. But yeah, work-life balance is such a struggle. I'm working on it. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. All right, question 16. After achieving financial success, well, that's an assumption, but what is your driving force, sense of purpose outside of family? So yeah, financial success, I don't know what that means for a lot of people. For me, that meant I paid off my student loans. So that was a huge burden off of my chest, off of my heart. But I think this question was more, like related to like what drives me. And I don't know if I have like a specific driving force for my business. I think there's some people who like want to grow their own businesses to become the next Google, the next Apple, Amazon, whatever. That's not my vision for my business, my online teaching business. I just want to make sure that we're creating better content and serving people. I love seeing the photos that our students put out, the videos our students work on. And whenever I get messages from students who enjoy our classes, that's what keeps me going. That's what gives me purpose. I think I have this, as much as I want to create my own content that changes people's lives, I find a lot of meaning in helping other people, giving them the tools and the skills to share their own stories, to improve their own lives. That's what, to me, gives a lot of purpose. So if I can serve others that way through my business, that's what's going to keep me going. All right, 17. What bigger projects are you working on that you're passionate about? This right here, this YouTube channel. I have taken a long time to separate my business YouTube channel and having a separate personal one. For a long time, they were kind of intermingled, intermeshed, and it just didn't work out because not everyone that wanted to follow me wanted to follow all my sort of business videos, like my teaching tutorial videos, and not everyone that watched my tutorial videos wanted to learn about, me and cared about my life. So this is going to be a very cool space I'm excited about, to just be able to like put out more creative content. I've said to myself that I want to do this video series, this food video series throughout the year. And so I'm hoping to do at least 6 videos. I initially set a goal of 1 a month, but that first sourdough one took so much energy and time. I realized it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Hopefully you think that one's like super good quality. And so I'd rather spend more time making better videos than putting out a bunch of videos that aren't as high quality. So, this YouTube channel, this is it right now. In the long term, I would love to make a feature-length documentary. That's like one of my life goals, is to make a long feature-length documentary that, changes people's lives, that, actually gets distributed far and wide. But I'm still waiting for that story, the one that I want to like work years on to make that film. And so someday. All right, let's see. 18, sourdough question. Secret to making sourdough moist. Dude, I don't know. I'm just on the beginning of this process. So follow all the other people who know what they're doing. I would guess it's just, I honestly don't know. More water, a more wet dough makes it seem like, keeping it moist. Moist, what a word. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. All right, 19. Have you ever been to the Philippines? Yes, I have. My wife, her parents were born in the Philippines. She has a ton of family there. We went there to Manila. We got to visit Coron, which is in Palawan. We visited Boracay, which is a beautiful island as well, a beautiful place. Just so much love in the Philippines, for the Philippines. The food is just incredibly delicious and different, and I love it. And there's some strange food for sure, but I like most of it. And just, I can't wait to bring our kids there. We've been kind of waiting until the kids got a little bit older, and also with this pandemic. But in the next few years, I would love to take my family there and visit Isabel's family again and just see more of that beautiful country. Question 20, why do some people consider post-editing bad? This is in regards to photography. So I think there's like a faction of photographers who think like you want to be completely natural, in the sense that You want to capture your moment, capture your photo with the settings and do all the work in camera so that you don't have to do any post editing. And then there's another faction who just, will do a little bit of editing to make sure it's not too bright, not too dark, make sure it looks more natural. So, you use your camera to capture the moment, but if the settings weren't right, you can do a little bit of editing to make it look more natural. And then there's another faction who uses editing to just get super creative. I think there's room for everything. I think there's a space for highly edited photos, highly manipulated photos. I think there's a space for completely natural photos as well. I don't think anyone is right or wrong, but of course there's going to be people that say it's, bad to edit your photos or not. But I think it's just like a different viewpoint. Some people just think like you're changing what reality is, and that's not fair and that's not right. And we're taught, there's some aspects of that I think is right, body image and those issues where we have magazines that are highly editing people to look completely different and to create this unrealistic vision of what we should look like. That's wrong in my opinion. Now, on the other hand, there's like landscape photography where, you make the water look a little more blue or the sky look a little bit more dynamic and warm or whatever it is. And is that right? Is that wrong? I think it's art. It's art if you want to make it that way. And I'm not going to tell you you can or can't do that. So I think there's a space for both. And I don't think it's necessarily bad to do post editing. That being said, it's great to be able to take a photo with your camera and not have to edit it to be happy with it too. 21 key features of a good camera. Whatever's in your pocket. You could take a great photo with whatever camera you have on you. Of course, different cameras features will allow you to do different things. If you have a zoom lens or a telephoto lens, you could zoom in on things. If you have a wide angle lens, you could go wide. If you have a camera that does better low light photography, you have a better chance of getting a good photo at night or in an interior setting. But honestly, you could take a great photo with any camera. To me, it's more about the composition, the story, and then using the lighting around you to get creative. All right, 22. What should people consider when wanting to create an online course? For sure, just what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about teaching, helping others, and will you continue to be passionate about? There's a lot of people that get into teaching online, and I've made the mistake too of teaching classes because I think they're going to be money makers. I think that it's going to be a successful class, but I really think you should focus on one area, one niche where you're super passionate about, because this is not a get rich quick scheme. It's something that's going to take a lot of time and energy to grow over time. And so you want to be passionate about it, not only with like one course, but you might end up creating a series of courses in this subject. And so you want to be passionate about it. And of course I hate using the word expert because I don't think you have to be an expert to teach an online class about something, but you got to know the subject. You can't like fake it, basically. People will see right through that. So you got to have knowledge and you got to be passionate about it. What is your go-to way to diversify and invest? We're pretty boring with our investments. We do typical index funds, a little bonds here and there. I would love to get more into real estate. It's something that we're saving up for, just to diversify that way. But right now we're pretty boring with our index funds. 24, at this stage in your business development, what is your biggest challenge? Man, I should have broken this up into a couple videos because these are some deep questions I could talk a lot about. Biggest challenge. I think it's mostly just personally figuring out how to balance my time, kind of going back to that question of work-life balance is like, how can I continue to maintain my business, serve it well, authentically, make sure that my students are happy and getting everything they expect and want out of the courses, but also how can I have a better personal life, happy, joyful life. I think there's a lot of recent periods of my life where there's a lot of joy, but there's a lot of stress and struggle as well. And I would even go as far as depression, just feeling not happy. And that has to do with a lot of things. And I think the pandemic is one of them, being stuck at home, not able to do all the things that we can and we love doing outside of the house. But I think that is difficult. I mean, with business, I think a struggle is always just seeing what else is out there and seeing other online courses and platforms and being like, wow, they're doing a really good job. How can I make video school like that? How can I make it better? And maybe the struggle is not comparing myself to other people, or maybe it's balancing, taking some inspiration from them, improving my business, but kind of being okay and letting go with the expectations that I set for myself to always be improving, because clearly a lot of people have enjoyed our classes, so we're doing something right. But I think the work-life balance is definitely the main thing. 25, how and why did you set up your latest background for your videos? This is from Thomas George. Shout out. What's up, man? I redid my whole garage studio last summer. It was because I wanted a space that it's not like a video studio space in the sense that I don't have soundproofing everywhere. I don't have my lights set up all the time, but it's a space where I can come sit down, and whether it's working, on a video or just sitting and relaxing, it's a space that I enjoy being in. And before this, I had a tiny tucked away corner with my desk and lights and stuff set up, but then the rest of the garage was just garage stuff. And I just really wanted a better space that I enjoyed. And so I made it my own. I have photos of mine on the wall. I've got, mask collection from different places I've traveled over there, a photo behind me. I built this bar stool, which doubles as a great space to film and work. Got this couch as another space. So I just wanted a variety of spaces to change it up a little bit. But yeah, really just a continual process of making the space more beautiful, more me, and not trying to copy what other people do. And yeah, if you followed me for a long time, I bounce between different backgrounds, and from very personalized ones to blank walls and blank paper backdrops. And I'm very happy with this one, but I am kind of the flavor of the month or the year kind of guy. So hopefully I don't change it up soon, because I did a lot of work for this space and I'm really enjoying it. But I think I like that it's versatile too, and I could change it up. And it keeps it interesting for me. 26, why'd you drop the podcast? So this is the Online Course Masters podcast I mentioned earlier on. To be completely honest, it's because it was one of those things that I had so much going on, and I kind of slowed down once I started having kids. But over the past couple years, it was more of a burden to try to continue doing the podcast. And I'm not saying I'm never going to do the podcast, but at the beginning of this year, 2021, I said to myself, it's okay if I don't do the podcast. And I, just personally let go of it. And I know people love the podcast. I know people really got a lot of benefit from it. I benefited from it. I loved hearing other people's stories. The main reason I did it was kind of selfishly. I loved listening to other online course creators' stories and learning from them. But it was just one of those extra things that was always on my to-do list. And I have this to-do list, and when I have things on there, I want to do them, and it bugs me when I can't get it all done. And so it was just sitting on that to-do list for a year or two. And I just said this year, I need to simplify. I took it off of my to-do list, and, just, it's the mental to-do list, it's the digital to-do list, but it makes me feel a little bit freer to get back into it if I want to or not. But yeah, I'm sorry if that's sad news for people who are like expecting me to get back into it right away. But yeah, sometimes you gotta just let go of different projects and things when you're not as passionate about them. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's why. 27, how are the kiddos? Oh man, good, bad, everything in between. Everybody that's a parent, I think, knows how hard parenting can be. And they're honestly at a very tough age. We've got two twin boys who are, 2.5, 3 years, almost 3 years old. We've got a girl who's almost 1 year old. And so going through so many stages, two toddlers, terrible twos. I used to think that, oh yeah, no, that's just not going to happen to me. That's not going to happen to us. Like, we're going to be like these like super intentional, super present parents that will understand our kids, and our kids will have this like perfect understanding of us. And yeah, all those hard stages that you hear about just aren't going to happen. But that's just such like a silly thought to have as like a parent, as a young parent. And it's literally like a developmental stage of their life, mentally and physically, that they're going through, that makes things tough for them sometimes. So to be 100% honest, this morning was a tough morning. Isabel was, up from 2 to 7, jumping from kid to kid. And then I took him in the morning and had him all morning, and it was just cranky crank fest. But on another day, you'll ask me that question and it will be great. We will have, gone for a nice walk, made food, and had a perfect morning. But as you know, as a parent, ups and downs. And that's the honest truth. 28, how do you pick your next course idea? It's just a combination of, what are my students asking for? What do I think my students want to learn? And what do I want to teach? So I think the smartest thing to do is like to survey your audience, survey your students, and really see what they want. But sometimes I just pick the things that I want to teach. Sometimes it's just working with a partner that I want to work with. For example, I'm working on my future brother-in-law with a couple courses. He does screenwriting and copywriting. So we did a screenwriting class, and now we're doing copywriting. And so it's just kind of a random, a random bunch of topics that I think a lot of my audience will be interested in, but there's no real rule to what how I choose. All right, couple more. 29. When do you know it is the right time to hire help or outsource? Oh, that's a tough one. I've done this the right way and I've done it the wrong way. I think a lot of people will, have a very scientific approach of like, okay, well, calculate your hourly rate, and if you're doing things that, you could hire someone cheaper to do, and blah, 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 like hire or outsource. That's probably the better way to do it. But honestly, for me, it's more about like things that are time consuming that I'm not interested in doing, and then things that other people can do better than me or just as good as me. And I think that's one hurdle that I had to overcome, is that I used to think, oh, well, I edit my videos and courses the way I edit, so no one else can do that for me. But that was just a silly thing. I mean, just even recently, some of my more monotonous things I've hired out. I realized that at this stage in my career and business, I was still spending maybe, 20% of my time just uploading videos to different platforms and setting up like email sequences and scheduling out social media posts. And I just realized, wow, this is stuff that I could outsource. And then I could focus on things like this, creating more content that I'm passionate about, and free me up to do other things, to actually be teaching courses, to be out there, improving my own skills and sharing that. And so I I think it's a lot easier than you think. I mean, I use Upwork.com for most of my outsourcing. It's so easy to use. You might be able to find a better deal at other places, but I mean, in a better deal or a better, I don't even know what. I think there's other places you can find workers, but Upwork is so amazing. I posted a job proposal to get someone to help me do all of that kind of virtual assistant work, and within a couple weeks she has helped me so much. And it just took a couple emails and tutorials that I recorded to get her up to speed. And she's doing amazing. So just do it. If you're at a point where you're asking yourself if this is the right time, do it. Just make a list of all the things that you do. Try to look at your week, look at your day, and see where are you spending all of your time. And are there things that you're spending time on that you're not passionate about that someone else could do? And if you're financially in a place to hire someone else to help, then do it. And I think for most of us, when we outsource, you realize that you focus your energy and your time on other things that actually grow your business even more. So it becomes totally worth it. Last question, number 30. I'm stuck in improving my craft. How do you get through that? That's tough, because I feel like I've definitely gone through this several times just with video, and I think I'm still kind of working my way out of it. I think for a long time I was focused so much on the online classes and my business that I forgot to do things for fun, to do photography for fun, to make my own videos for fun. Those are the areas where I find myself the most creative. So I think it's kind of trying to find time and space to get out there and force yourself to be creative in a sense, where it's like, okay, I'm going to go out for an hour and take photos. And you might not in your mind feel like, oh, I'm super creative right now and I'm going to do it all and be, I know exactly what I want to take photos of. But just getting out there and putting yourself in that mindset, I think will help you. There's tools and things that you can, following other people on social media. I don't think that helps me that much. I think some people can follow people on social media and be like, wow, that guy's great. That girl is a great photographer. Let me try to take photos like that or get inspiration from that. But honestly, social media bums me out. I feel like I follow people and I'm like, it just makes me feel insecure or like I'm not that good. So what's the point? So I don't think that's a good thing to do. And hopefully that's not how you feel when you watch my videos or look at my Instagram feed. Isabel is texting me, so it means I gotta go. So I'm gonna wrap this last question up. But on the flip side, I watch a lot of YouTube channel. I mentioned a couple channels in the beginning, at Johnny Harris, Is Harris, and Nathaniel Drew. And they've inspired me a lot in the past few weeks and months to get into making my own personal channel and do more creative work. So there's a balance, but I think just making that space to get out there. If you're doing photography, we do a weekly challenge in our photo group, our student group. Every Monday, you get prompted to take a different type of photo. And just having that prompt, I think, can help people, force them to try to be more creative. All right. This has been real. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll do another one of these soon. I have a list of questions that are more tech related that I will try to get to as well. But yeah, if you have more questions for me, leave them in the comments and I'll add them to my list for the next video. And yeah, make sure you watch that sourdough bread video documentary that I posted. The next one that's going to come out is all about ramen. And who knows what's going to be next. Subscribe to the channel and you'll find out. Or don't, whatever you want. All right, much love. Have a beautiful day. See you soon.